Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Mythgard and Middle-earth. My name is Corey Olsen, the Tolkien Professor, joined as always by my friend Gryfflet, who is flatly ignoring Gollum's advice and looking at the lights because they're very pretty. I think that they've done a really cool job here in the Dead Marshes of creating what looks like both a fetid, reeking swamp, but also adding, the sort of aura of mystery. I talked about this a little bit last time. I think about the way in which the Peter Jackson movies made the lights in the swamp, frankly, crude. I mean, it was just like flames, right? Like physical flames, if flames are physical exactly, but you know what I mean. I mean, it was just like swamp fires essentially, and that's, I think, definitely not quite what Tolkien had in mind. I'm not sure this is exactly what Tolkien was picturing either. Candles of corpses, Gollum calls them, and these don't exactly look like candles, so I guess you could say they sort of look like, ghostly candles, maybe being carried around by ghosts. But of course, that they're being large, one can't exactly complain about, because everything's in Lotro is large, so that's all cool. Phil, exactly, these look more like Will-o'-the-Wisps, which I do think is more what Tolkien had in mind. That's why Gollum says don't look at the lights, because they can distract you and lead you astray there in the swamp. But yeah, I love how the way they've done the swirling mist here, which really, again, it looks like the fetid exhalation of the swamp. Really nice. Rather glad not to have the smell-o-vision version of this. Also, I will say I like the reeds. That also seems very attentive, and one of the things that I like most about that is that it's less open, right? Again, Peter Jackson's Dead Marshes were mostly open, like you could see really far across them, and the fact that when they were wending their way across the Dead Marshes, they, meaning Frodo, Sam, and Gollum, of course, it was more maze-like. Frodo saying they would never have made it across the marshes without Gollum. To me, that's a lot better. Representing that visually, it's much more powerful to have the marshes covered in so you can see the mountains off in the distance there, but you can't see what's coming. It would have been, again, Peter Jackson's marshes, it would have been possible for anyone with reasonable care. I mean, I'm not saying it would have necessarily been possible to go across, but if there were a way, again, it's just, if you can see everything, as far as the eye can see, it's less treacherous, it's less maze-like, and so I like the really tall reeds that make that almost impossible. So anyway, Kendall says it just looks like an average day in Florida, minus the mountains in the background, right? Well, see, there you go. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's does that mean he got it right? I think maybe he did. All right, but I agree. Gryfflet's training in the Rushik Bog and the Marish is going to pay off, Kendall. I mean, this is, he's fully prepared for this. Much more prepared than were Frodo and Sam. Okay, I know, Edith. I'm sure the reeds are going to get very annoying when you're trying to get anywhere. But again, that's part of the experience. It's part of the experience. Okay, but anyway. Let us do our unexpected detour from Belfalas off to the Dead Marshes and try to understand what we're doing here in this whole little... This is one of the most peculiar turns that the quest line has taken in a long time. Ever since... I don't think I was this surprised by a sudden shift in the plotline since we got sent to Lothlorien from Dunland. Basically, I did not expect that. I mean, again, it makes sense geographically, given how they were rolling out the lands. But it was weird. Like it was a slightly weird moment, you know, in the quest line when we did that. This seems a little more random than that. You know, like that again, at least was made sense in the big picture. I don't understand why we're doing this. So let's see if we can understand. Hi, Artamir. Why am I here? Oh, let's maybe actually see the text. Okay. Right, yay, yeah, friendly face and an inhospitable land. That's it. We're here just to make friends. I caution you to watch your step, for I would not want to lose you so quickly beneath the mire. We only just met. Okay, great. Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to sink beneath the mire, so we're agreed. I am Artamir, son of Ilkamir, and call the White City my home. From where do you come, my friend? No matter. Your answer, you are far from home in this place, I warrant. Yeah, as nobody lives here, that's pretty safe. Okay, great, but it was entrusted to me in confidence, and I should not speak of it now. I can tell you that it was a great honor to be selected for this errand, and that Denethor chose me personally even before Faramir, his son. I'm certain that a successful end to this endeavor will elevate my stature in the steward's esteem. Okay, but why am I here? Like, help me remember. What did the elves say before I left? Like, that whole exchange from Galdor, and like, I was told there was some, like, hideous danger. And I had to take that super swift horse, which, again, real swift. I mean, absolutely very swift. Like, what is... I don't remember, even, from last week. But I was never told many details about why I was sent out here. But, like, I had to come because... Yeah, because this guy's an idiot, right? Attracting attention. But wait, why is that bad again? I mean, okay, it would be inconvenient to draw attention to the Dead Marshes right at the time when Frodo, Sam, and Gollum are trying to cross it. But does anybody know that? And, like, how on earth do the elves on the coast of Belfalas know that? If that's the... Now, Galdor is in the know, but not about that. And certainly wouldn't know the timing of the crossing of the Dead Marshes. Galdor's way out of touch. He's been semi-reclining on a backless bench, down there for who knows how long. Okay, Galadriel presumably knows. Okay, all right. Phil, thank you for the quote here. Okay, Lady Galadriel speaks of a Gondorian man on an errand he believes important. It has drawn him into the Dead Marshes by the battle plain of old, and his feet are dogged by the servants of the enemy. The Lady of Lorien does not need to express her desire in words for me to know what drives this message. She does not want this Gondorian man to draw the attention of the orcs to this place. Okay, all right. Low profile in the Dead Marshes, so Galadriel is tracking Frodo and knows that he's in the Dead Marshes, and she's seeing this. So we're removing an obstacle from Frodo's path. That's, of course, very Lotro standard as far as our quest line is concerned. Okay. So the only thing that remains is why... Isn't she personally closer to the Dead Marshes than the elves out in Belfalas? Right? That seems to me the last thing, like... Wouldn't literally any of the Galathrim be quicker to send? But it's fine. Never mind. But this gets me into worrying about geographical distances. And the horse was very swift, so I'm fine. I'm fine with that. Okay, great. And I do acknowledge, of course, the challenge of the fact that, we can see here the Lotro story designers attempting to do the two things that they're doing, right? I mean, they're clearly, it is very clear from, by this point that there are two different and in some ways sharply conflicting goals that they have as developers of the storyline at this point. Goal number one, of course, is to parallel the plot of The Lord of the Rings, so that, as I say, the Lotro standard approach is for us as PCs to be brought in to be removing obstacles from the Fellowship's path. But in any case, we're sort of shadowing the main plot line of The Lord of the Rings all the way through the game from the beginning to the end and beyond. But the other one, of course, is to see the whole world, right? They don't want to just release Minas Tirith. They don't want to follow the rapid trail of Gandalf and Pippin to Minas Tirith, passing through Anorian in the dark without seeing it, right? And then showing up at Minas Tirith. That's what the narrative does. And of course, needless to say, the narrative never gets anywhere close to Belfalas. But they want to be able to show all of Gondor and to give us that wonderful backstory, like we've been getting the wonderful backstory there in Gondor, and as we did in Rohan, right? So to be able to show us the whole world around the story, to kind of fill out, it is, in my mind, one of the really grand things that Lotro has done in order to show us what is the whole backstory. It's almost like, in order to maintain the narrative of The Lord of the Rings, Tolkien had to, maintain this one sort of narrow line. Or even, like, in order to paint the painting that is The Lord of the Rings, he had to paint on a two-dimensional canvas. That's the way canvas works, right? And if you're going to make a painting, that's how you do it. But of course, the video game is to the book. It's a different genre, right? And it's a completely different art form, and it's an art form that enables three-dimensional depth that a painting cannot have. So since they're not making a painting, since they're not writing a book, they're writing a video game. They're not making a painting. They're doing something else, and so it enables us to get this more like three-dimensional sense, not just of what's happening in Minas Tirith as we get, in the Gondorian part of the story, but what's happening everywhere in Gondor, and what is happening in Minas Tirith, how what is happening in Minas Tirith affects the rest of Gondor, just as we saw with Rohan. And I think that this is not only a really fun, but quite a noble undertaking. I love it. I love that they chose to do things that way, and I've spoken several times of how much I enjoy this sense of the pausing of time, right? While Gandalf and Pippin ride like the wind to Minas Tirith, we have time to do a slow and leisurely exploration of all of southern and western Gondor. Cool. Like, what could be better? What could be better than that kind of dilation of time? Unless it might perhaps be the kind of jumping of distance that we just did on our swift horse. So anyway, I think it's cool. I love that whole approach. But you can see how one can easily see, when you kind of put yourself in their shoes, how these two goals that the game developers, the story writers have for the Lotro story come into challenges, come into difficulties, right? They want us to, we want to be able to explore western and southern Gondor, but we don't want to lose touch with the main line of the quest, and the main line of the quest is far removed from that. And of course, we haven't checked in on Merry and Pippin. We haven't checked in on Frodo and Sam. We have checked in on Merry and Pippin only, but not Frodo and Sam for quite some time. In Gondor, of course, we caught up with the rest of the things, but we have not really checked in with Frodo and Sam. So I get it. I think it's cool. I like it. It's hard not to see the seams at times like this, right? This little segment is kind of shoehorned in, as it has to be in order to be in there. I mean, I don't see any better way to do it, but it works. I can work with it. Anyway, sorry. So just kind of thinking it through here a little bit. Cool. All right. All right. Yeah, we do get to the edge of the Dead Marshes during the March of the King, part of the epic quest line. Yeah, but it's the other end, and it's at a later time, right? Yeah, exactly. The last time Frodo and Sam showed up was in the Parth Gowan session plays. Drawsnake, that's what that was my memory too. So yeah, it's been we've missed their entire trip through the Emyn Wheel. Now, we miss it in the book too, right? But yeah, it's long since time to touch base with them. We haven't even met them seen them since they've been traveling with Gollum, right? So the Dead Marshes is a great place to kind of catch up with that in some sense. But anyway, all right, back to Artamir the Fool, who is drawing attention, and Denethor sent him, and I agree. I saw who. I saw, I forget who it was. Somebody in the chat was pointing out that Artamir bragging about the fact that Denethor chose me personally even before Faramir, his son, is perhaps not quite so great a compliment to him as he thinks it is. I think that's a shrewd comment. I evaded a number of orcs on the journey here, but it seems some of them have followed me here. If you are as established an adventurer as you seem, perhaps you could do something about these creatures. They seem to be all over these marshes by now, and they endanger my errand. Artamir seems to mean no harm, but his presence here could threaten many fortunes. Did Frodo come this way? If he did, you should seek sign of him while you hasten Artamir on his way. Okay, but what did Denethor send him to do? An errand of some importance? I'm curious. All right, Artamir. The orcs have orders. That they do? Did I what? Whoa. This is a white quest. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. Why? Oh, yeah, it's a white quest, but the orcs are blue. Okay. That's good. Hi there, marshland orc. Whatever these orcs are hunting for in the Dead Marshes, it furthers the plans of the enemy. Presumably. They will have less luck in finding their quarry if there are less of them to search. Yes. It doth follow as the night the day. So I love duplicate quests. That's okay, and this guy's sneaking up on Artamir, which I suppose in a sense could solve our problem, but we don't play that way. So there we go. Okay, that's him. And so, oh, wait, hang on. Oh, a Norbug. We got Knickerbreakers here too? Ah, the Knickerbreakers of the Dead Marshes, which must be fearsome indeed. Hey. Yeah, I'm going to do Sam a solid here. The vast number of large insects makes any progress difficult and cannot be easy for any other life. Defeat a good number. Oh boy, 15 is, I guess, a good number in one sense of the word good. Okay. All right, so now we're hunting Knickerbreakers and also, I know, Nordbeg, or whatever. We don't call them Knickerbreakers anymore. I still don't. Oh man, he turned around just in time. Okay. Alright, other than hunting quests, that's all I got so far is hunting quests. Where am I? Ooh. Okay. What's oh, okay. Those are the orcs have orders. I'm just looking at these two rings up here. Like, what the heck is that about? But I see there they are. It's there are orcs, I guess, up there, vaguely. All right, let me head towards those rings then, vaguely. Well, all right. Tell you what. Here's what we'll do. I will I will look at. I'll answer a lore question while I hunt Knicker Breakers and orcs. Let's see. Okay. All right. Fingen120 had asked. Let's see if I can get through more than one lore question. that Gowan for Life's Silmarillion question was a doozy last week, or at least led me to talk for a long time, which I suppose is partially my own fault. But anyway, Fingen120 asked, when we know when Gandalf died, his spirit went to the west. When Saruman died, his spirit tried to go west, but was blown east. As Tolkien's views of the remaining three wizards changed from failures to, okay, maybe they didn't fail, what do you think of the fate of their spirits, or do you think they eventually sailed west like Gandalf the White? Really great question. Of course, very difficult to really know anything of the sort about this. Like, certainly hard to know whether they, like, exactly what. I mean, we don't know even what the sort of final assessment on them was, much less like exactly what happened to them as a consequence. Interestingly, in the Nature of Middle-earth, just last week, not this week, but last week, we just got to a passage about Radagast, where swimming in the Dead Marshes. That's lovely. What is that? Oh, it's a frog. Oh, Gollum would have been delighted to find that. There are wormses, snakeses, things in the pools, many things, many nasty things. Is that what that is? Is that a nasty thing? That's what I would be. I would have been tempted to make little fauna creatures called nasty things. Yeah, I think that Gollum would have been delighted to find nice juicy frogs like that. Oops, I forgot to stealth myself. What an oversight. Anyway, so as I was just saying, we got to an interesting Radagast passage where he was not really backing down from the idea that Radagast had failed, but he explained it a little bit more. And in explaining it, I felt that he definitely... Oh, interesting that the orcs do the breast... Like, hang on a second. Can that orc come this way? The orc was doing the butterfly. Do all orcs do the butterfly when they swim? There's another one. He's just treading water now. Come on. Go somewhere. Yeah, look at that. That's cute. Why do orcs do the butterfly? I never noticed that before. Anyway, so yeah, that's really funny. Whoa, what is that green thing under the water? Oh, that's just... Whoa! Oh, they're dead things! Oh no! Look, they're dead. They're not really... They don't have faces, though. There are dead things in the water. Oh, man. They weren't there before. Why do they look like wraiths, though? Not that they should look like wraiths. Gollum does emphasize that not only are they all dead, they're all rotten, right? So it's not that I necessarily think that they should look like, recumbent, living elves and men, necessarily. but I don't know that I like the wraith. I mean, they're basically like Oathbreaker shapes, you know, armored wraiths, like trailing off there at the bottom, which, yeah, I don't know that I'm a huge fan of that. I mean, I like how they just appeared. They were not there, and then they were there. That was awesome. Yeah, Gollum did seem to be offended that they were too far gone for him to eat. But he tried to. Like, they weren't so decomposed looking that he didn't even bother. Like, he attempted to reach them. So it's clear that although he calls them rotten, they're a kind of rotten that still qualified as potential food source at a pinch in Gollum's mind when he first saw them, because he attempted and failed to reach them. A deep cricket. What is especially... Yo, he's fast. What is especially deep about that cricket? Why is there a deep cricket here? Weren't there deep crickets in Moria? Yeah, it has some kind of complex... It has a complex inner life. All it grows is what I was assuming that must mean. Also under the circumstances. Okay, I'm wandering vaguely back to... This is what happens when I answer lore questions while I hunt. Anyway, okay. So, no, it wasn't after my internet went out on Wednesday. No, I stopped as soon as my internet went out on Wednesday. No, I think there's some sort of conspiracy. Actually, I think it's my ISP resetting, but on Wednesday nights, like... I'm supposed to end at midnight, and if I don't end at midnight at like 12:09 or something like that, my stream keeps cutting out. But I was done. I was supposed to be done anyway. So yeah, no. It was the week before. It wasn't this week. It was the week before. We're talking about Radagast. And Tolkien was talking about how he had just simply become less effective. And was too... Well, cowardly is not the word that he used. But just that he was not... he didn't do enough. He had he had more opportunities to be active. His job was to work against Sauron. There's nothing. It is not merely the fact that he was the friend of birds and beasts. That was a problem, because of course so was Gandalf, the friend of birds and beasts. But he... Okay, what am I supposed to do now? Defeat insects, I know. Bring the crumpled parchment to Artamir. Okay, alright, let me just go do that. Oh, there's the deep cricket. The complex inner life. Yeah, anyway, so he failed, but not like Saruman. So the question becomes, to get back to Finrod 120's question, would he not be accepted back? Like, would he be excluded from Valinor? Would he be cast out of Valinor? And I say no. I mean, look, let's face it. If proving rather more ineffective than you could be grounds for exile from Valinor, there'd be a lot fewer people in Valinor, right? I mean, like, I'm looking at you, some of the Valar, right? I mean, like, look, there's mistakes were made, right? And Tolkien, the further he got on, like, at the same point in his life, when he was talking about Radagast's relative, ineffectiveness, he was talking more and more about the mistakes and inappropriate things that the Valar themselves had done from the start. So no, I don't think that not in the end doing everything that could theoretically have been done by you, on the good guy's side, is grounds for permanent expulsion. What happens to Saruman is a judgment on him for his treachery. I mean, he went over, I mean, and he didn't just go over, in a sense. The way that Gandalf talks about Saruman playing this double game, where he is trying to do his own thing. He's like trying to serve Sauron, but he's also trying to, feather his own nest, right? And he's in a cleft stick of his own cutting. This makes him, in one sense, and now bear with me here, this makes him in one sense worse than Sauron himself. And I say that because Tolkien makes clear that one of the few things that can be said in Sauron's favor, or sort of in his favor, right? Like the one way in which he was less evil than Morgoth was that he, for a while, served another, right? So that his service of Morgoth, while not commendable, right, was at least like one step removed from the total depravity, right? That was like the worst version of evil, right? The sort of the final stages of evil is like the complete, the final stages is complete nihilism. But in Tolkien's world, I mean, Tolkien was very clear, used that word, nihilism, to talk about it. But that, like, being completely wrapped up in one's own schemes, trying to subordinate every other will to your own, that's the hallmark of, the wicked in the Lord of the in the Lord of the Rings and in Tolkien's world. And so Sauron, inasmuch as he was the number two guy who was, in his way, faithfully serving someone else, there's this glimpse that in his original vision, like when Sauron went over to the dark side, right? Part of why he did that was because he believed in Morgoth, right? That he was serving Morgoth. And inasmuch as he was serving anything other than himself, he was morally superior to Morgoth, who was serving only himself. Saruman doesn't even have that excuse, right? Sauron doesn't even have what excuse Sauron had when Sauron originally went over to the dark side. And so in that's the sense in which, as I say, I think that you could say that Saruman is almost even worse, or worse quicker, if that makes sense. He's not worse than Sauron is at that time in the Third Age, by that time. But his fall is in that sense sharper than Sauron's fall was, quicker than Sauron's fall was, if you see what I mean. So yeah, he wants to return to the West, and they show him the hand. Okay, all right. Artamir takes the crumpled parchment and unfolds it, but in mere moments he shakes his head. This is written in the speech of the orcs. Oh no, he needs Candife's the Candife Memorial Correspondence Course in the Black Speech. Well, another guy. Oh, it brings back such warm and hearty memories, right? Of times when I was sent to bring in orders so that we could see what the orcs were doing, only to disclose that we don't read the Black Speech, and what did we expect their orders to be written in? That Makes me so happy. Not to mention, wistful. I'll pour one out for Candaith here. And no reputable man of Gondor ever studied such words. My father never trusted the written word to begin with. Ilkhamir was a man of action and deeds, and I am no different than my sire. But I can tell you this much. Even without knowing the words themselves, this parchment contains orders for the Orcs. They have been sent to this dreary land much as I have been, but for what purpose? Artamir's brow is creased in thought as he considers what goal the Orcs might have within the Dead Marshes, but your worry is deeper than his. Did Frodo come this way? And does the Master of the Orcs know it?
Explore the swamp, but step with caution. The footing is treacherous.
I am troubled by the presence of the Orcs, and I can tell by your expression that you are as well. Have they come here for the same reason that I have? I dare say they have some fell purpose. Why have you come? Have you even told me? I don't think so. Quite unlike that of the ruling steward. But still I must ask, how many reasons can there be to come to such a miserable land? Perhaps you can find some hint to their objectives by exploring this foul swamp. There are notable places to be found of a certainty, but you must step carefully. There are notable places to be found? You're certain about that? Try searching to the north, northwest, and west of my camp, and you may find some clues to the orc interest here. While you are at it, you might also find the entrance to the Orc-camp, for I think it likely they have established one. Do not go inside just yet, but we should know where it might be found, wouldn't you say? I will search as well, and meet you back at this place. Walk with caution. I have found the footing to be treacherous. Okay. I was wondering if, I've been swimming around the marsh here, and I was wondering if there was going to be any sense in which, like, any peril in the swamp of sinking? Because there doesn't seem to be. Okay. Right, so low right head, it's not just me. We don't, we've not actually, in fact, been told what, Denethor sent him here for. Oh, look! A dead dude. A fell spirit. That's not a dead dude. Okay. Interesting. So we have this fell spirit over here. Suggests that the spirits of this land have been corrupted over time. Some disturbance has wakened many of the dead spirits. Wait a second. No, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Because there are spirits and spirits, you know. I mean, in this we've seen, I'm just thinking primarily. Oh, darn it. I was hoping you wouldn't notice me so I could stab you in the back. Though stabbing an incorporeal creature in the back seems a little bit odd. Not to say discourteous, but burglar. So, what can you do? Anyway, right. There are spirits and then spirits, you know? So, oh, that's a tree. I thought that was a pillar. Anyway, so, I'm perplexed. So some of the wraith creatures that we have seen are the unquiet spirits of the dead, as in, of course, the Paths of the Dead and various other places where we have seen them. Dunland. We've got the separate Oathbreaker story up in, what do you call it? Begins with an F. Forlong's name just keeps coming to my mind. You know, the city in the north that starts with an F. Good grief. Hang on. I'm getting old. You know, Norbury of the Kings, Fornost. Thank you. Good grief. Oh, man. Okay, anyway, yes, up in Fornost, we saw them. Fourth Eorling goes, stop messing with me, Joss Snake. So, anyhow, the point is, we see a whole bunch of dead dudes. But, of course, we've also found fell spirits, like spiritual beings, like the spirits of the land that have been corrupted. And, of course, we first encountered this phenomenon. Who's that? Oh, it's a purple thing. Danger in the Dead Marshes. Huh. Okay. I guess I'll... Let me try to head vaguely in that direction. We first encountered this in Garthagarwen, in the Lone Lands. This phenomenon of corrupted spirits of the land, which is a very Tolkienian idea. Middle-earth is a rather animistic sort of place. There are lots of spirits in the land. And like that's pretty clear. He doesn't refer to them much in the book, though in his early drafts, he referred to them a good deal more. The drowned wood seems to beckon with watery tendrils. Does it? Thanks for the briefing there. It's very interesting. So I was assuming that that's what these fell spirits were. That's what they look like, right? I mean, at the risk of sounding like the Monty Python sketch, right? You know, like, how do I know that they're a witch? But they look like those fell spirits. And I know no reason why there would be spirits of the unquiet dead here, unless these fell spirits are actually elf spirits. Huh. Oh. Hmm. Am I there? Why does, why did that quest ring go away? I didn't find anything. Huh. All right. Well, that was weird. Yeah, they could be elf spirits, I suppose. The wood tendril thing was the objective? Really? Oh, that was explored to the north of Artamir's camp. And when I got north of his camp, I found wood tendrils beckoning me. Okay, all right, I'm tracking now. I was like, okay. I mean, I'm sort of tracking. Like, it's a little odd, but okay. I still have 6 more spirits of some kind or other, but I'll come back. Okay. Those spirits obviously weigh a good deal less than a duck, as they are just walking along across the surface. Oh, there's another patch of dead things in the water. Okay, anyway, so when Saruman is rejected, he's rejected for, like, really good reasons. He didn't just, instead of saying Radagast failed, I would say my characterization of, what Tolkien was saying about Radagast would be something more along the lines of he failed to come through, he didn't really, he didn't win, but he didn't exactly lose either. It's certainly not in the, Sarumanic model. So I really don't see any reason that he would be refused. So what does that mean? Was he doomed to remain in Middle-earth? until his incarnate body died. They do seem to age. Gandalf seems to be aging slowly, but aging. Would he have remained in Middle-earth for some time? Would he have been able to take ship in his corporeal form? If I had to guess, the greatest punishment, I'm even hesitant to say punishment, but the greatest sort of consequence that Radagast would likely face would be lingering in Middle-earth in his corporeal form until his corporeal death, at which point his spirit would, I presume, have returned to Valinor. Ooh, what's this? A glowy thing. A treacherous echo. Oh. That is the horn. On the third sounding we charge. Okay. Fear not, brothers, men and elves, allied we are unstoppable. A faint candle-like flame gives way to the visage of a deathly spectre. Unconcerned with the living, it voices echoes of the past, a corrupted memory of a long-ago wartime. Approach the strange apparitions. Okay. Great. Found a battlefield memory. Okay. Now, was it a man or an elf? Oh, now we're orange. Okay, oh, that's where the dead dudes are? Okay. Right, well, I was going to head south from here. That was number 4 out of 5 that I found? Oh, well. I guess I can piece it together. All right. What's going on here? And where am I in relation to the... All right. There we go. Yeah, truly navigating in the Dead Marshes is not great fun. Oh, here's a rock. I like finding rocks. Oh, wait. Nope, that's an orc. Okay. Boy, the Knickerbreakers are pretty scarce on the ground. All right, I'm going to go around the rock. Hey, it's the Orc-camp. You have found the entrance to the Orc-camp, as Artamir requested, and I'm not going to waste my time in there, because I wasn't told to go in there yet. Okay, there's the entrance to the Orc-camp. I got some other battlefield memories over here. There's really no good place for the map, or the legend. Okay. I'm going to head over to this spot. That's the last of the locations. Maybe there's some more wooden tendrils beckoning me down or something like that. Oh, 4 quests out of 5. I see. Okay. Okay, I see. 4 quests out of 5 that I've found. All right. Of the landscape quests. Great. All right. And a bunch of orcs. Don't need any of those yet. Yeah, I'm going to head over to that spot, and I'll look for some of these. And meanwhile, I'll hunt Knickerbreakers, and I will continue to prattle about Radagast. But anyway, as I say, and you know, I see some of you saying that doesn't seem like it would be much of a punishment for Radagast. Nope, I don't think so either. Because, again, I don't think he did much wrong. I still... you know, M Team Radagast, and oops, yeah, I have been resistant to oh, Forest of Flowers of Respite. Yeah, that's nice. Standing in the small patch of sweet-smelling flowers, you feel refreshed, and for a moment at peace. Could there be other such blossoms in the march? Search for other patches of flowers. Yeah. Well, that's great. No, this is very pleasant. And here I thought I was just like, lost. Interesting. Even here in the Dead Marshes, flowers bloom. Fascinating that they've introduced that as a quest line. because I'm trying to understand it. So that would, of course, work against the... Ooh, red now. Oh, hang on. Another battlefield memory coming up. Beset from the north, beset from the south, they clamp down on us like wolven jaws. We retreat into the marshes. Pray some host of elves or men come soon. Fight, my kin, fight now, or all is lost. But who is your kin? Oh, humans, you've got a beard. Death, death, death. Uh-huh. Man. But of course, let's not forget that they didn't just retreat into the marshes, but the marshes advanced onto them, right? Okay, meanwhile, I'll keep wandering in the forlorn hope that I might see a Knickerbreaker. Yeah, there's a pretty strong orc presence here. I fear for Frodo here. Good grief. Ooh, okay, no, that's just a candle. Ooh. Yeah. The sound of insects is overwhelming at this nest. You do not want to tarry. No, I don't. Oh, right, those are like egg sacs. But maybe this is a place where I can find more Knickerbreakers. I don't, in fact, want to tarry here, but I do want to continue my hunt. Apparently. I mean, you're right, JJ, that he might not be a human. He might have been like a Círdan fanboy, potentially, right? I mean, Círdan was here, so it's possible. It's possible. I finally found where all the Knickerbreakers were hiding, so all Sam has to do is not come this way. Okay. So, yeah, so I do not think, in the end, Finrod 120, I believe neither thing. I do not believe that Radagast would be refused like Saruman was. But, nor do I think he would be invited to take ship with them. I mean, I think there's a reason he wasn't on the boat, is what I'm saying. But remember, even Gandalf calls Radagast a worthy wizard, right? And I don't think in calling him a worthy wizard, he was merely talking about his competence, right? Like, a worthy wizard in the sense of, like, yeah, this guy can, like, you know, he can definitely do some stuff. You know, some, like, it wasn't talking about his magic, you know. Anyway, yeah. Let's do another one. Woo, new ones have come in here. All right, Kendall, you were asking a non-lore yet medieval literature question. You're listening to the Consolation of Philosophy. Hooray! And you to the Mythgard Academy discussion we had of that. And you mentioned the Psychomachia. Is there a particular translation you recommend? No. No, there isn't, off the top of my head. Yeah, no, I mean, if you can find a good... And it should be more available. I haven't looked for the Psychomachia for a while. I think I have a copy of it somewhere from my grad school days. But, you know, a copy that I got in my grad school days, I mean to say. But anyway, I'm sure it's pretty widely available now. There's been so much wonderful progress in medieval studies in the availability of texts and translations online. It's such a different world than it was when I was in grad school in just delightful ways. But anyway, yeah, no, there isn't a particular translation of Psychomachia I would recommend. But it's a... My memory is that it's a relatively simple Latin text. It's not like it's not a huge deal. Like, it's not like a particularly delicate work of poetry that, like, you know, you need a very, very careful... I mean, of course, you always need a good translation, but it's... What I'm saying is it's not like picking a Dante translation or something, is what I'm saying. So, anyway, hey, I finished defeating the insects. Gryfflet has overcome the bugs. All right. Now I've just got flower patches, 4 more apparitions, and 6 more dead spirits. Oh, and the northwest. Right. Okay, I'll loop around there. All right. Let's get out of bug territory now. No. No way out there. Oh man, these help. Can't I go this way? No. No, I can't go that way. Okay. Let's go out and around then. Okay. All right. Great, let's do another one. Tony was just asking, based on what Gollum says about dying into the dust, do you think that Bilbo rapidly aged in a visible way to his chronological age of 129 after the destruction of the ring, like also shown in the film? If so, wouldn't that mean that Frodo would also age up to looking 50, or is it more of a spiritual effect? So, on the one hand, yes. Yes, age would clearly catch up with him, and age clearly is catching up with him. If you look at the difference between Fellowship, like, Rivendell, Bilbo, before they leave, and the Rivendell they come back to, is one who is clearly aging much more swiftly. And definitely starting to wander a good deal more when Frodo encounters him for the last time on the way to the Grey Havens. So yes, I do think that Bilbo is aging. Does it happen like a snap? No. I think it clearly does not happen like a snap. I think it is... I think it's more of a rapid acceleration progress. I think that when Gollum was talking about, here are the flowers. Nice. Okay. I think that when Gollum was talking about dying into the dust, well, first of all, Gollum's in a different situation because he's not just old, he's... should have been not only old, but dead. And not only dead, but decomposed by then, right? I mean, like, seriously. So, like, would Gollum have... Would he die instantly? I don't even necessarily know that that's what he was referring to when he talks about dying in the dust. I mean, he would die, and he would die into the dust. But that doesn't mean that he would, like, immediately crumble, after, Thanos snaps his fingers or something, when the ring were destroyed. Assuming he didn't do it, right? Had the ring been chucked in by Frodo, for instance, would Gollum have, like, immediately collapsed into dust? No, I don't think that would have happened. But I think that his aging and subsequent death and deterioration would have been very rapid. Or pretty rapid, anyway. Again, rapid is such a relative term. I don't think it would probably even have been as rapid as, say, what happened to Saruman's body. Maybe, but I somewhat doubt it. Anyhow, but yes, you're certainly correct that what the movie was depicting with Frodo and Bilbo, or with Bilbo there, the movie is quite wrong about that. And Gollum, of course, is the one that absolutely proves that the film is quite wrong about what it depicts with Bilbo. Bilbo does not begin aging as soon as he gives up the ring. If that were true, then when Gollum lost the ring, he would have died. So that's just obviously not what happened. The power of the ring continues to it's the power of the ring which is, sustaining them. And the power of the ring continues to sustain them. Even so long as it's around. It's both of them, Bilbo and Gollum, are still tied to the ring and still drawn to the ring, right? And this is one of the, I was going to say reasons why, but that's not quite right. One of the things that manifests it, right? One of the ways you can tell that the ring is still in charge. Well, this is a nice rocky promontory. Oh, good solid rock underfoot. That's very pleasant. Okay, I think oh, look. This rocky crag rises out of the swamp and you feel exposed against the sky. Okay. No, I'm stealthed. Hey, aren't these flowers? I found another patch of flowers, but it doesn't count. I found a bonus patch of flowers. Apparently. Okay. Meanwhile, what are the orange ones for? The Dead of Daggerlad? I still have 4 more? Alright. Uh-oh. Okay. But yes, so Bilbo is aging rapidly, certainly, obviously, compared to what he was. But yes, he is kind of catching up. And so, yes, I do think that Frodo would be catching up and that he would look older as well. But, I mean, hobbits aren't that old at 50 to begin with. Oh, here we go. Those are no birds. They are orcish arrows. Oh, Elbereth, nowhere to run. So this is death. I never thought. Why didn't you think? How easy it must be for men all doomed to this. How hard the pain, sweet life, farewell. I don't know, man. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that elves would think that. About death, I mean. I mean, that's almost like a version of the complete silliness that Orlando Bloom was talking about at that moment. If you listen to the, I never forget. It's just, I thought the silliest moment of the cast commentary on the Lord of the Rings films was when Orlando Bloom tries to explain the sort of puzzled face that he puts on when Gandalf has died, and then he comes upon Boromir dying as well, and pulls this same kind of face. He tried to say, oh yeah, like it's because he's an immortal elf, and so he is like all confused about like what death is. Like it's just strange and unnatural to him. And of course that is bosh, because he's an immortal elf, which means he would have seen more death than any mortal ever would have seen. I mean, even as a human, the older you get, the more people you know have died. I mean, it's a reality right? I mean, it's a reality that everyone faces, and elves face it more, not in the same way as humans, because no, like mere like the mere death of old age, the knowledge that you only have so much time and then it's over, is not a part of the is not a part of the elvish experience. But death in battle, an elf who lived in Middle Earth until through the War of the Last Alliance would almost certainly have seen the conflicts of the First and Second Ages already, right? I mean, he would have been a veteran of the war against Sauron in the Second Age with the invasion of Eriador. He would very likely have been a veteran of the, he might even have been a survivor of Beleriand in the First Age. No human on Earth would be more familiar with what death in battle looked like than the elves who fought in the War of the Last Alliance. So, I just passed a cave spiderling. Yeah, I think there are some, how Faramir says he doesn't want the escapes from Mirkwood and Edhellond. I think we've got some escapes from Moria in here. I think some of the landscape creatures came here from Moria. Whoa! He just, whence came that arrow? It burns in my side. I will lie here, and here will be my grave. Never go home to Arnor. The pain, the roar of battle, all dims, all fades. Oh, poor Arnorian dude. Interesting, though. Would he even have thought of Arnor as his home? I suppose he might. Oh, they'll do it again if I come by? Flop. Okay. Sorry, man. I don't mean to make you relive that again. Anyway, yeah. So I don't really, I don't buy the whole stranger to death thing. Yeah. Now, Legolas, I agree that Legolas himself, is younger than that. He would not have been, presumably, I think, he would not have been a veteran of like the wars in Eriador, most likely, if for no other reason than that he didn't live in Eriador, and was not, one of the Noldor or closely allied with them at that time. But again, they certainly have seen conflict. He would have seen many elves die in the Battle of Five Armies, where Legolas certainly must have been. This is, I've been defending Peter Jackson on this since long before the films came out, when everyone was like, oh, they're just putting Legolas in, because he's hot. Yeah, of course they were. But they were also perfectly right. There was no chance that Legolas wasn't there. He only wasn't there in the book because he didn't exist yet. Not his fault. The din of war is like no other. Orcs shrieking, steel clanging. Look how they yield before us. We shall pursue them to the black gates. We shall... Oh, slain in the hour of victory. Oh, woe, regret, shame, bitter regret. Oh, dear. The hour of victory. Well, at least that guy had a happy moment. Briefly. Okay, oh wow, way over there. All right, I can continue my circuit around the perimeter here. Yeah, anyway, so like Legolas would certainly have been there at the Battle of Five Armies, and as Phil was pointing out, there would have been, many conflicts between the between the elves of Mirkwood and like the spiders and things. I mean, they were their bitter foes. So yeah, there would have been lots of opportunities for elves to die in battle. Maybe not quite so many as, for instance, in Beleriand. But yeah, I mean, again, just the idea that that an elf can grow to the age of several thousand and never have like known that mortality in the sense of being killed in battle, was a thing or a possibility, is just kind of silly. No, I'm going the wrong way. Don't want to go this way. Want to go... Why are there rushes here, but like the map is misleading me. Map is misleading me, but oh dear. Okay, let's just strike south, shall we? Okay, can I go through? No. No, they're closing in the reeds. But I'll head south. Okay. Okay. So anyway, there we are. Boy, I'm on a roll today. What time is it? 2:30. Okay. I'll take a stab at Stokes Afford's question, which I was avoiding last week because it was way too late in the session to try to answer this one. What is the music of the Ainur? Okay, the music of the Ainur. So first of all, let's clarify terms. The Ainur is the collective, so it's a plural word. Plural words end in R, like, so you've got the one Vala, many Valar, one Maya, many Maiar, one Ainu, many Ainur. So the Ainur it's like collectively, it's like the spiritual creatures created by Iluvatar. It's a very general term, more general. So you've got the Valar and the Maiar. They're both subsets of the Ainur. The Ainur also includes... okay, let me back up a second. Explain this a little bit more thoroughly. Oh, there's another cave. It's a cave serpent, too. Yeah. They've all escaped to here. Oh, it's a warband. Oh, dear. A warband has suddenly appeared. No, I don't want the warband quest. What is it, a ghost warband? Oh, no. Who is it? Oh, it's an orc warband. Yeah, no thank you. Okay. Ainur. In the beginning. That's kind of how you have to start. I said I was backing up. Oh, hang on, one last one. Months we have battled, and now the time has come. 55 orcs I've slain this day. Really? That's quite a tally. Let me kill or be killed, for all of war is death. 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 Huh. Okay. Oh. You found all the battlefield memories. Okay. There we go. And... Alright, no, I don't... No, I'm declining the warband. Thank you. Okay, so all I have left to do is find the last flowers and head back to the camp. Can do. Probably. Okay. So, Ainur. In the beginning was Eru, the One. And he created the Ainur, who are the offspring of his thought. No, I'm not going to quote or paraphrase the entire Silmarillion from the very beginning, but that's where it starts. It starts with the creation of the Ainur, who are basically angelic beings. You can think of them like angels. They're not the same as angels exactly, but they're like angels. More like the heavenly hosts, right? Angels have a specific job. Angels specifically refers... The word angel in the Bible specifically refers to a spiritual, servant of God who is sent to the earth to deliver a message to somebody. They're couriers. They're messenger boys. That's what an angel is in the Bible. And through much of Christian tradition, the angels that appear in the Bible are believed to be the least of the angelic host, the least of the of the spiritual powers that exist under God in the world. And so we're talking about the entire scope here of the heavenly host that God created. That's what he creates first, long before the world is created. Again, here Tolkien is paralleling traditional Catholic thought on this subject. So you've got the Ainur. Then God is going to create more. Oops, hang on. About to take a wrong turn. Don't want to do it. God is going to create more. The first thing he does, though, is to create a whole bunch of sub-creators. And this is an important, very important thing to understand about Tolkien and about his world, about his understanding of God. He said in his poem, Mythopoeia, that we humans are sub-creators. Like, we can't help ourselves. We mix stuff. And it is a natural expression of who we are to invent worlds and write stories. Blue flowers. There we are. Now, I can't go through this way, can I? No, I cannot. Okay, back we go. Yes, to be artists, to be makers, to be creators, sub-creators in Tolkien's word, is what is the inevitable fate, or the sort of the destiny, the fulfillment of the nature of humans, because, as Tolkien says, we were made in the image of a maker, made in the image of God. Again, traditional Christian theology. From Genesis 1. But, okay, am I going too far? No? Okay, now is when we turn right. In Tolkien's world, Tolkien takes that concept and pushes it one step further down, or up, out, wherever direction you want to think about this. It's not just about the humans that God created in his image have this sub-creation impulse, are sub-creators because they are made in the image of the creator. God's entire creative process is like this. The first thing that God does in Tolkien's mythology is to create a whole set of sub-creators. He creates the Ainur, this angelic host, and what they do is make music. They are artists by their own natures, which are derived, which are the offspring of Iluvatar's thought. And as the offspring of Iluvatar's thought, they are therefore creative and sub-creative. And that was Iluvatar's plan. We'll continue with Iluvatar's plan after we talk with the fascinating and rather, I don't know what to call him, spotlessly clean Artamir, who has obviously not been doing much exploring around here. You have come back. I see. Artamir blinks at you groggily. He seems to be having some difficulty focusing on your face, and often shakes his head as if trying to clear it of a foggy sensation. I'm fine. I saw the oddest thing, a treasure just below the water. I could nearly reach it, but then it seemed to be gone. I remembered that you were expecting to see me again, and I came back to meet you. Huh, you saw treasure, huh?
I trust you.
Woo!
I will tell you the nature of
102.
my errand in this miserable land.
I will tell you the nature of my errand in this miserable land, and perhaps you can better help me accomplish it and then return to my home in triumph. I would give anything for this victory. The gratitude of the steward would do much for my family's position. Long ago, the peace of Gondor was threatened by Wain riders from the east, cruel men who rode down their enemies in great wheeled chariots. It is said that Ondaher, one of the last of the true line of kings, faced the Wain riders in battle on the Great Plain but was defeated. Yep,
True. No sign was ever found of the king or his force, and Steward Denethor believes that the Wain riders might have driven him into the Dead Marshes before he perished. Do you think it unlikely? I would say so too, but for this, Denethor had of late a dream, in which he beheld the banner of the king flying proudly against the night sky. Could it be the banner of Ondahir, last of the line of kings descended from Eneldil, an Aryan son? The strange waters of the swamp must have preserved it after all this time, and I must find it and return with it to Minas Tirith. If these orcs have found the king's banner, they might be keeping it in a storage cache in their camp. Return to their camp and search these caches to ensure they have not. Okay, dude. Not your fault, Artamir, really. It's not your fault. I mean, you've just been sent on this message. I blame Denethor. Seriously? That's his reading of the dream. He has a dream of the banner of the king returning, and he's like, oh yeah, that must mean that like an actual banner of the physical banner of Ondahir must be preserved in the swamp. But it's revealing about the attitude of Denethor. Yeah. He sees a vision of the banner of the king, and instead of taking it as a sign that, oh, I don't know, maybe the king is on his way, returning to Minas Tirith, instead he takes this as a sign that he might find and fly the banner of the king himself, right? That's very interesting. And it seems to fit particularly well with what we just read about, what Tolkien was saying about the ruling stewards in The Nature of Middle-earth, which, of course, the Loto developers could not have known when they wrote this, and yet they got it right. Strong work. In other words, oops, oh dear. I found the camp, sort of. And yet not an entrance thereunto. That the ruling stewards really had no plans to hand over the kingdom to the heirs, even if they did return. Is this a little entrance? A little sneaky entrance? A little postern gate? Okay. Hey guys, everyone's just standing around looking at each other here? They're all having these like three-way staring matches. Okay, I'll try not to disturb you guys. Okay, back to the Ainulindalë. A strange sludge. They've harvested sludge. Were they going to return to Sauron with like, we have your sludge, my lord? And you're like, seriously? Were they sent here for sludge? Oh. That orc is standing too close. Here I was kind of hoping I'd be able to come in. Search their storage caches, and leave without killing a single orc. That would have been so burglarious. This contains nothing of interest to me. Not even sludge? I have to admit, sludge is piquing my interest to some extent, but... Okay, the hope is still alive. Let's see, where is it? Oh. How many so there are 4 storage caches. I thought there were 3. Oh, okay, hang on, I gotta go out of this little camp where everyone is being very solemn and quiet. Oh, the skull candles. That's nice. I haven't seen a skull candle in a while. Ooh, or a wolf's head like that. That takes one back. Okay. Subcreation. That's where I was. Okay, so Win Iluvatar. Step 1. He creates the Ainur, the heavenly host, who are the offspring of his thought. And as the offspring of his thought, they are sub-creators. So first he creates the Ainur, and then they start making music. They start making their own art. And he devises for them a great melody. Detritus of the swamp. Okay, no, they're actively collecting the sludge. Doesn't explicitly say that it was sludge, but I think swamp detritus is probably pretty sludgy on the whole. Okay, I'm 75% to legendary burglarious action. Behold. All right, hang on. I'll get back to talking about the Ainur. First, we got to see if we can pull this off. Oh, I think I got it. A number of dead bugs and slime, but nothing else of interest. Yes, okay. Now all I have to do is leave. I'm going to leave by the entrance that I found over here. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Right, you're right that nothing else of interest does suggest that the dead bugs were, in fact, of interest. At least mildly. Awesome. He did it. Oh, from one end of the camp and out the other side, searching all 4 storage catches without alerting a single orc to his presence the entire time. That was one of... I don't think Gryfflet has ever managed to go to an enemy camp, infiltrate it, perform his quest, and leave without ever once entering combat. That was burglarious right there. Okay, back to the Ainur. So, the creation of the world, and not just the world, but they should have sent Gryfflet with the ring. Said, no, he's too proud. See the boasting that's going on here? His hands are not small enough. Oop. Okay. All right. Okay, so when Iluvatar, God, sets out to create the world, he doesn't just, and by the world I mean the entire universe, the physical universe. He doesn't just do it himself. He delegates the creation of the universe to the Ainur. He creates through them. He gives them real agency in the making of the world. His whole plan to create the universe is first to create the Ainur, and then to enable them to sing a song. So the music of the Ainur is the blueprint of the universe. It is, and not just the blueprint of the blueprint of a house shows what the house is supposed to look like, except it's also all of time as well as all of space. So it's not just the physical design of the universe. It's the whole history of the universe. He empowers their music in the end. That's what happens. That's how creation happens. So the music of the Ainur is... Uh-oh. Artamir is gone. Oh, dear. Okay. Oh, but I did complete the quest by returning. Yeah, so... and I think I've always thought that this was one of the most fascinating core elements of Tolkien's mythology, that he puts delegated subcreation at the very heart of the creation of the universe itself. That, by the way, is also a traditional Catholic belief, that the angelic host was involved on that level, planetary intelligences and stuff. If you've read C.S. Lewis's space trilogy with the Oyarsa or the Oyerisu, the planetary spirits who govern each planet, that's based on the same idea, as this same kind of medieval idea, that the members of the angelic hosts were in fact instrumental in building and maintaining the universe itself. But Tolkien's idea is both simpler and really very profound, speaking to that. Again, what does it mean? God is the creator of all things. What does that mean for those things, about those things? What does that tell us about those things, right? And so that whole we are makers because we are made in the image of a maker idea gets spread through the entire concept of Tolkien's universe, of Tolkien's creation, Tolkien's subcreation. And I think that's really, it's a really cool and powerful idea. So that's what the music of the Ainur is. All right. Oh, it only took 20 minutes, plus sneaking through an orc camp. All right, so I'm examining his bedroll. Okay, but it has not been slept in for some time. It is possible the Gondorian man will return, but as you peer into the distance and see the inhospitable swamplands extending to the horizon in all directions, you fear that some trouble has befallen him. There are many threats in this place, from the treacherous terrain to the searching orcs, and any might have claimed the life of poor Artamir. If the Gondorian has blundered into a sinkhole, there is little you can do to save him, but if he has run afoul of the orcs, there may be some sign to find. You are resolved to defeat the orcs in search of such a clue, if clues there are to be found. I'm just gonna go kill more orcs? Okay. I can do that, I guess. In my end is my beginning here when it comes to Dead Marshes quests. I say end, though perhaps I'm being overly optimistic. Okay, here's a marshland orc. Verily shall I slay him and see what comes of it. Hi. Nothing. Remain alert for... Yeah, just... Okay. Alright. I have to both kill orcs and... Oh, sure. Now there's a Neeker Breaker. Okay. I'm killing orcs. I'm remaining alert. Here I am. Super alert. Ooh. A map of the swamp with one location encircled in blood. Let's go see if he's back. Okay. Did I take a wrong turn at Albuquerque here? Nope, there's the camp. Okay. Or I can spot the horse vaguely in the distance. I know I'm going in the right direction. Okay. All right, man. I am cruising through lore questions today. Phil, let me address your question. So, this is when last time I was talking about Tolkien changing his story. Oh, no, still not here. Check Artamir's bedroll. I'm real concerned about it. But is he getting enough rest? Nope. Never return to camp. There's nothing else to be done. Maybe he just makes his bed very carefully. Nothing else to be done save to travel to the location circled in the Orcish map. Perhaps a clue to Artamir's fate can be found at that location. Whew.
Artamir has disappeared from his camp. Has he run afoul of some evil in the Dead Marshes?
Is that Galadriel? I guess if it's her fault I'm here in the first place, she should be... Oh, right, yeah. Woo. Way up here is where was circled? I'm sure glad they teleported me here. Okay. I don't see nothing. And go back empty-handed. There's nothing to find. What are you looking for? Is that the end of your scintillating conversation? Yes. Yes, it is. Is he incandescent with rage? I think he is. I think that orc became incandescent with rage. Okay. See if I can overhear any more orcish conversations. I've always said you were a fool. Well, I can't vouch for him, but I say you are the fool to believe it. Believe what? What is so foolish about it? I do not see anything that can stop us. Even now the darkness belches forth from the Black Land. You worry for naught. It is the age of the orc. Let all men tremble. What's he worried about? I'm so in suspense. Okay. That's it? Okay. Well, men might tremble, but what about halflings? Not so trembly, are we? Okay. Here we go. That orc went incandescent too. Okay. Still haven't found anything on the map. Or the circle on the map. Don't even know what I'm looking for on the map. Oh, wait, there's another orcish conversation to have. Oh, by a little bug tower over here. Keep your distance. The creatures build these in the swamps. We lost some of our boys near one of these a few nights ago. Looks empty to me. Oh boy. That sounds like a cue. Oh, I was waiting for a big old queen bug to burst out and kill them both. No? Maybe not. Yeah, he does go incandescent with rage. That's fun. Okay. Well, that's not a big queen, and they didn't quite come out in time to do anything effective, but could have used your help, Mr. Knickerbreakers. Fine. Okay. But we'll keep overhearing orcish conversations until we discover what on earth is happening. I still don't know why we're here. You are approaching the location marked on the orcish map. Oh, good. Nope, here we go. No, he's just by himself. He's not going to talk to anybody. Okay. Whoa. Is this big old hive over here the spot? I've arrived. Whoa. Good grief. What was that? It just died? Is there a reason? Did he come to this place? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to let you guys get at it here. Oh, man, they killed the big one. Also, like, there was a boss fight, and I wasn't even around. Oh, there he is. He stares into the water as if entranced and does not notice you. Don't look at the lights, man. Gollum says not, and for once I agree with him. What is it? Artamir blinks sleepily and shakes his head. When he speaks, his voice is thick. The words indistinct. Gryfflet, is that you? I did not expect to see you so soon. But where am I? How did I come to be here? I must have been dreaming, but I did not sleep. I remember seeing lights in the darkness, beckoning. You just noticed them? This place is dangerous. We should get out of here at once. I am fortunate you found me. Yes, you are. Okay, did I not break him from his reverie? What do I have to do? Okay, good. He's all right. I think his reverie is broken. My mind felt as foggy as this place, but it is much clearer now. What are the orcs looking for? I still don't know. I thought we were getting to it here.
I cannot thank you enough for the timely rescue.
Hey, no problem. I peered into the water and really thought I saw... Well, it does not matter now. If Steward Denethor truly did see the banner of the king flying high against the night sky, perhaps it does not tell what he supposed. Maybe he's interpreting that a wee bit too literally and far too personally. I think King Ondaher's banner perished in the marshes when the king fell. Do you want to know something curious? King Ondaher was not alone when the Wain Riders of the East drove him to his death. He was accompanied on his final journey by two of his sons, and they perished with him, perhaps in these very marshes. The names of these sons were Faramir and, well, Artamir. He laughs wryly. Were it not for your help, Gryfflet, I would have met my end in the same fetid swamp that claimed my namesake. I will find no honor when I return to the White City without the prize I sought, but I will still have my life, and that is more than enough for Artamir, son of Ilkamir. You have my thanks and that of my family. I will leave these miserable marshes at once. Okay, all right, we get an essence that I don't know that I will be using. And okay. There we go. Completed missing in the marshes. Why are the supplies glowing? I can't seem to use them to any purpose. Okay. Artamir has agreed to leave the Dead Marshes, but as you stare at the Gondorian man's supplies, you wonder if Frodo ever did pass this way. If he did, he was much less equipped than Artamir. For sure, he didn't bring 3 cooking pots and a bedroll, and if he did, right, yeah, your mind wanders as you contemplate his hardships. Let's contemplate Frodo's hardships. An interlude! Oh, I have time for an interlude. If Druid's Fire doesn't mind, I'm going to interlude. Okay. Oh, my goodness. Woohoo! Oh, a very muddy Frodo session play. Hooray! Okay, Druid's Fire doesn't mind. I'm going to interlude. This interlude brought to you by Gundabad. Also, the crafting guilds. Boy, there's a whole lot of sponsorship has gone into this interlude.
Swamplands stretch in all directions. Did Frodo come this way?
Yeah. Here I am. Okay, as always, first thing I have to do in a session play is look at your skills. What do we have? Only one. Use Hobbit sense. Samwise Gamgee may not be strong. Wait. I'm playing Sam? Why did I think I was Frodo? May not be very strong or fast or indeed very smart, but he has plain old Hobbit sense and it serves him well. Okay, let's use it. Yeah. Deploy Hobbit sense. You know, I think it would have been awesome if Gollum's floaty name were like Stinker or something. I know we've not gotten to the Slinker and Stinker thing, but he had that name for him even before he called him that. Slinker and Stinker, as I've said before, he says. I personally would have had Frodo and then Stinker, or Master and Stinker. But anyway, okay. What do you say, Frodo? Apart from the fact that I can't see you. Okay. This swamp is even worse than I thought it would be, Sam. I have found my feet sinking into the mud, even on terrain that seemed solid, and would have become quite stuck if I hadn't noticed immediately. I know you do not trust Smeagol, but he is the only guide we have. Without his help, could we hope to come to Mordor? I do not think it likely, Sam. Keep an eye on Gollum, the treacherous sneak. We have to trust him, Sam. He has not led us wrong. Hang on, let me use my Hobbit sense. Sam's Hobbit sense says, no, I don't have to trust him. Hobbit says. No time for delays. No time for wasting. No reason to stay in nasty swamps. No reason at all. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm going to use my Hobbit sense again. No, I agree. No reason to stay in the swamp. I agree with you this time, Gollum. Come, Hobbitses. Good Smeagol knows the way through the swamp. Step only where he steps, or you will find yourself at the bottom, and no one will help you then. Oh, no. If you must go to his black country, only Smeagol can bring you there unseen. Only Smeagol. That is a bad place. Yes, a bad place indeed. It would be wiser to turn back. Yes, it would. But you said you needed to go, and go you will. Yes. Not enough sibilance in that speech. Gollum. Okay. Squeak and hiss. How? Okay, the air is so heavy here. Hang on, we have to walk. You can't run through the swamp. Oh, hang on. I think I'm stuck. Help. I'm stuck. Gotta use my Hobbit sense. Okay. This way. Alright. Move as fast as you can through the water or you might sink. Oop, okay, time to run. Off we go. Come on, Frodo. All right, keep up, Frodo. I finally put my finger on what's been bothering me about this swamp. Oh, yeah, what is it? I've heard no birds. Yeah, no birds. Come on, Gollum. No birds. They don't fly into these lands. No. If you want snakes or worms, you'll find plenty of those, but no crunchable birds. How are you holding up, Sam? This is a hard land. Ironically, it's a soft land. It seems so many of the places we must journey through are hard lands. I miss my own comfortable bed in Bag End. Interesting that they have him reflecting on Bag End. Of course, that's anticipation for when he won't be able to remember it, right? And there's nothing for it, is there? We have to keep going, one foot in front of the other. Smeagol will show us the way if we are kind to him. He was treated very cruelly in Mordor, Sam. He has been through a lot. I suppose that is true for all of us now. Just keep going. That is all we can do. Interesting that, and of course, this is something that the movies never really picked up on. The movies focused, of course, on Frodo's identification with Gollum as victim of the ring, But interesting that they're picking up on like the hardness of the road that he has had, right? That Frodo is comparing him not just in his victimization with the ring, but also in just what he's endured and what he's been through, and paralleling that with himself, which is fascinating because it is suggesting that in Frodo's mind, he's seeing Gollum. He's not seeing, if this makes sense, he's not seeing himself as a parallel to Gollum. He's seeing Gollum as a parallel to himself, right? That is, he's kind of projecting onto Gollum here the, well, he doesn't think of his own quest as heroic necessarily, but he's enduring all of these hardships and sufferings in order to do what he must and destroy the ring, right? Gollum, of course, has endured much hardship and suffering, but not for that reason, right? And yet Frodo is paralleling their hardships as if they were encountered under the same sort of circumstances. You see what I mean? It's a really interesting move on their part here. But anyway, okay. Oop. Hang on. What? What's going on? All right. There's Frodo. Deploying Hobbit sense. Okay. All right. Keep a watchful eye on the wretch. Okay. I'm keeping a watchful eye on the wretch. Frodo. Frodo. Wait. Oh no. I'm supposed to talk to Gollum, but Frodo's running off. Gollum, Frodo's running off. Stay close. Yeah, Frodo's gone. Dude, no, I'm not staying close to you. Forget about it. If I'm session playing Sam, I'm running off after Frodo. Don't look at the lights. I'm not so great at pool. I saw Frodo running off. Why would I ever leave him? Don't you leave him, Sam. What is it, Sam? Were you calling for me? I felt as if I heard from you from a long way off, but there was something. Frodo shakes his head, trying to remember something. There were faces in the water. I could see them by the light of the candles, I think, but how could that be? There were so many good faces and proud faces, stern faces and evil faces, too. But why? I'm sorry I wandered off. I don't know what came over me. Oop, and we're running. Back to Gollum. No path. No path can help the nice master if he follows the little candles. You say little candles? Well, the marshes are filled with the dead ones. Elves and orcs, men beside them. A great battle happened long ago, and the marsh is creeping, always creeping. See, Gollum remembers. No more today. Hobbits need their rest. Okay. Okay. I'm going to keep watch over Sam. Whoa, Frodo he's down. All right. Going to sit next to Frodo. That's right. Keeping an eye on you, stinker. I feel so tired. Oh, man. Stay awake, Sam. Oh, no. I'm nodding off. Uh-oh. This is really cool. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, they're two golems. Smeagol can't hurt nice master. Smeagol promised. Then don't hurt the master. He is the master of the precious. But what if we had the precious? What if we were the master? Ah, yes, yes. We could be the master. Yes. Too risky here. Too risky. The mean hobbit doesn't trust us. No, he doesn't. Yes, too risky. But there is someone who could help us. Help us take the precious. Yes. Good idea, Gollum. So hard. So hard. I have so much sympathy for the game writers. Like, any of these classic scenes that they want to do in the game, but they can't use the text, so they have to rewrite it, and I can't even imagine trying to do that. Interesting also that they went pretty far away, not from the book, but from the Peter Jackson, what Peter Jackson does with Gollum, which is very, very interesting, what Peter Jackson does with Gollum. I mean, I love film Gollum and what they do with him. I think it's very interesting, but it's not what Tolkien does in the book. It's not quite what Tolkien does in the book with Gollum. And that was a little bit closer to what Tolkien did with Gollum, but it was brief, the slinker-stinker conversation. So Sam wakes up. Nice hobbit, nice Sam. Nothing to worry about. No precious. Gollum. Did you get the sleepies you needed? Did you, Gollum? We needs to be moving again. Yes, we do. No time for delays now. Master says we must go, so go we must. Yes, time to go, precious. Time to move. Time to wake up, Master. Time to be going. Yes. Frodo blinks at you for a moment and slowly rouses from his slumber. I suppose it's time to set out again. I am ready to be out of this wretched swamp, and the only way for it is to get moving again, I suppose. I am very tired, Sam. Oh, use your hobbit sense. I'm too busy to use my hobbit sense. Get up, Sam. Seriously, what is wrong with you? Okay. Continue the passage of the marshes. Where's Frodo? Oh, there he is. Okay, this way. I'm here. Whoa, a cold chill runs down my spine. Oh no! Oh, it's the Wraith! Wraiths on wings! Okay, that's not what he says in the game. That's what he says in the book. Nice. Awesome. Is it gone? Is it gone? No, it's Frodo. Is it gone? Did it see us? Did it see us? Winged wraiths, terrible. They see everything, precious, everything, and they tell him all that they see, they do. Did it see us? Gollum is shaking, his eyes wide with the terror of the experience. He will not move for some time. This is a really interesting session play in that they're having us do so few actions. This is, of all of the session plays that I remember, this is the one that is most like, essentially, an interactive extended cutscene, almost, right? That was a Black Rider. I hoped we had seen the last of them, but I suppose that was an idle daydream. They are still searching for us. The ring is so heavy, Sam. I know we need to keep going, but perhaps we can rest for a moment. Smeagol's beside himself. I do not think he will want to move for a while. Look at him. The poor creature. Not just him. All three of us. See it again? He's projecting himself onto Gollum there. Not seeing himself in Gollum, but projecting himself onto Gollum, if you see what I mean. I will be glad to leave these Dead Marshes, but just a rest, a short one. Then we will keep moving. Oh, man, that was awesome. That was very cool. Right, exactly, Edith. I agree with you. It is the way it should be. This is if it's a past event, we shouldn't be able to lose or fail it and have to redo it. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. No, that's really neat. I mean, most of the session plays aren't that easy to fail. I mean, some of them are, I know. Like, I remember that Isildur one that I failed a bunch of times. The up around the Stone of Erech, I think. But oh, I have to examine the supplies again? Oh, okay. You shake your head to dismiss the troubling thoughts of the hardships Frodo might have faced. It's possible that his hardships were somewhat like that. If his road truly did lead into the Dead Marshes, you were not even certain he came this way, but if he did, at least he likely had the companionship of a good friend to keep him going. The two of them would do their best to remain hidden from the eyes of any enemies, and with luck they may remain undetected. There is nothing you can do now for Frodo and Sam, but by convincing Artamir to leave the Dead Marshes, you will at least keep the Gondorian man from attracting attention to these lands. May it be enough. Awesome. Okay. And with that, it is back to Belfalas. Where I have no quests at all. Let me see. Can I... Where am I? Go back around over here to the recumbent... quasi-recumbent Galdor. No. Hi. Do you know where anybody is? Oh, here's the bridge. Was Galdor gone? Galdor's gone. Yeah, that's Galdor's bench down there. Now empty. Or maybe this is the wrong bridge. Oh, yeah, I think it is the wrong bridge. Yep, there's the semi-recumbent Galdor. Right, I have this natural slope up and then the bridge. Okay. And I'm just hoping that she has a quest ring. No, she does not.
I do not want Lothiriel to underestimate the heirs of Castamere.
Okay. Fine. Yeah, sorry, yeah. I heard you the first time. So what I want to do then is go to Lothiriel. Okay. And then also, I have a vector quest from... Yes, I did. There we go. Both of them sending me to the guards. Okay. All right. So next time, Gryfflet shall go to Dol Amroth at last, having cleared the Dead Marshes of any serious causes of concern. Then we will be off to the heart of Belfalas and the city of Dol Amroth, where perhaps secret and covert dangers await. So, thank you very much, everybody, for joining me today. This was a lot of fun. Glad we got through the Dead Marshes. The Dead Marshes was a lot. I would not have been happy walking around there for more than one session, I think. So glad to be moving on next week to the beautiful city of Dol Amroth instead. Thanks, everybody, and I will see you guys next week. Bye now. Thanks for joining in on my rambles around Standing Stone's brilliant digital adaptation of Tolkien's world. If you enjoy these adventures, please consider supporting this and other entertaining educational programming by donating at signumuniversity.org/fund.